Yes, good morning, students. This is the topic from fifth unit, that is cloud computing. And in the last lecture, we have seen the basics of cloud computing and how this cloud computing system has evolved and how it is going to be different from on-premise solutions and traditional approaches. But in today's class, we'll be seeing the challenges for cloud computing, how actually we all have become dependent on cloud services, and how we are able to get the effective storage service, platform service, or infrastructure service, or software service as a part of the cloud computing innovation. So we will be seeing some examples for the different types of the delivery models, like infrastructure as a service, software as a service, or platform as a service, and how they are really different from the on-premise solutions. And we'll be seeing some examples under each category, and we'll be looking at the insight into different cloud activities and how these cloud activities are going to affect the customers, the vendors of cloud services. So before we start with that discussion, let us finish the topic that is remaining from the last class, that is challenges for cloud computing. The challenges for cloud computing, the main important challenge is that what if the desired service or the determined service is not delivered to the customer? That becomes the first challenge, and we will put it like availability of the service. What happens when the service provider cannot deliver? Suppose if we go for an example of data packs that we recharge in our mobile phones. What if the data pack we have recharged is not available to us? And what should be the action from customer side, and what should be the solution from the vendor side? So that availability of the service becomes the main challenge. And if he has compromised, if he has promised for 1 GB of data service for duration of 26 days or whatever, he has to give that, and there should be accountability. There should be a track for usage of the data. So there should be transparency between the service provider as well as the customer, and these things have been agreed upon during the SLA, that is service level agreement level. So customers will be able to get the services as per the tariff and as per the promise made by the vendors. And the second important challenge is that it is a common tendency that if one customer is hooked to one service provider, and if he is attached to that particular service provider, he will be emotionally attached with that service provider, and because of some unexpected uh, errors, because of some unexpected things happening during the usage of the service, the customer will not be in a position to understand whether to move or switch to another service provider or continue with the same service provider. So that is, it's very hard for the customers. So for that we need to define the standards. So the what level the services have to be provided to the customer, and those things have to be standardized, and those things have to be committed to the customer before they take the services during the service level agreement. And of course the NIST has come up with some standardization efforts for this. So that is, we put it as diversity of services, data organization, how the data should be organized, and how user interfaces are available at different service providers, and how about the user mobility? That is, it shouldn't happen that okay, users keep on moving from one service provider to another service provider. The moment they switch to the new service provider, it is very hard for the users to uh, cope up and understand their patterns, practices, and see their user interfaces. And because of course it is going to be totally a new platform or a new environment for the user. So user may face a lot of difficulties when he switches from one service provider to the another service provider. And the third thing is very important challenge, confidentiality. It's a serious problem in fact. How to audit the particular service, how to ensure confidentiality for the user's data. The user will be using the cloud service and he will be using the cloud service for his, say for example, for e-commerce applications. User will be doing some money transactions using cloud service. In that process, he credentials, maybe the bank account number, passbook, password of his online or net banking should not be compromised. So it is the responsibility of the cloud service provider that how to ensure the confidentiality of the data of the user and how to keep the users secured as per as their usage of the cloud service is concerned. Okay, and it may so happen sometimes that there are some applications which are very data intensive in nature. They will be loading or they will be inputting a huge amount of data into the network, into the cloud. So how to manage the data? So data transfer becomes the bottleneck. That depends ultimately on the network parameters like bandwidth, etc. And there should not be any delay in giving service to the customer with the increased amount of data. So if there is an intensive uh, data application, in such cases, how those applications have to be managed becomes the next challenge for the cloud service providers. So in summary, there are four important challenges for the cloud computing. The first thing is, what if the data or the given committed service is not given to the user, that is availability of the service. And the second one is diversity of service or data organization. Third one is data confidentiality and auditability. And the fourth thing is how to manage the data transfer bottleneck. When the data amount increases, the data transfer becomes the bottleneck. How to deal with such applications. So these become the uh, some basic challenges for the cloud computing. And of course, more challenges are there with respect to resource virtualization. So resource virtualization is the another challenge wherein how to make the services available to the customer with the help of the resources in terms of memory, processor time, and say for example for that IO devices, etc. So a lot of computer resources have to be virtualized. Virtualization should be done for these resources and should be given to the users. And also at the same time, performance isolation of quality of service guarantees should be ensured. That is, performance unpredictability is one of the consequences of resource sharing. That is, if one resource becomes not available, if one resource goes down, in such cases, maybe the resource could be in terms of the dependent server or the dependent system. If that goes down, then probably the user is going to face the unexpected problems. So how these things have to be handled, that becomes the next challenge. And of course, the elasticity aspect of the cloud computing, that is, the elasticity is nothing but the ability to scale up and scale down quickly as far as the resources are concerned. Suppose the user is in need of more RAM space, how to increase the RAM space and provide immediately to the user. And suppose if he wants some more memory for storage, suddenly he wants a huge amount of memory for storage, how to give this service to the user. And when he is not in need of some source like memory or the speed of the RAM, etc., when he is doing some simple manipulation, simple computations, definitely he will not be in need of major resources in major quantity. So in such cases, the user is managing with the limited amount of resource. So how to scale down that time the available resources to low side. So this is how scale up, scale down has to be done quickly, because that is a need of the hour by the customers. So in such cases, elasticity also becomes an important challenge for the cloud computing. And resource management. So basically, resource management is important issue, uh, this which is managed by some arrangements like self-organization and self-management. Okay, self-organization, self-management are the methods, are the solutions for the resource management. So whenever the resources are required in more quantity, automatically the servers and the other concerned components, they self-organize themselves and self-manage themselves in order to provide the required amount of resources to the customer. And whenever it is not required, again they will be taking care of that. So as I said in the previous slide, the major concern is depending on the cloud services is about the confidentiality of our data, okay, and which is going to violate the security aspect of the customer. That is, the customer is maybe doing some sensitive operations using cloud. So in such cases, it is the responsibility of the service provider to ensure security and confidentiality of the data. And of course, these challenges, that is resource virtualization, elasticity, confidentiality, and resource management, as well as security, have become a good open issues for the researchers in this cloud computing domain. Okay, so this is about the cloud challenges. Now we'll see the different types of deployment as well as delivery models. Okay, of course we have discussed the deployment models, what is meant by public cloud, what is meant by private cloud, hybrid cloud, community cloud, etc., etc. Now we'll see the different delivery models, that is how to differentiate on-premise solution with the software as service, how to differentiate the on-premise or traditional service with the infrastructure as service or with the platform as service. So there are so many other services, network as service, storage as service, data as service, etc., etc. But for our study, we have three important cloud delivery models, that is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. So in short, we call infrastructure as a service as IaaS, platform as a service as PaaS, PaaS, software as a service as SaaS. Okay, so I will be giving some examples for these cloud delivery models. Okay. Say for example, for infrastructure as a service, let us take an example of preparing pizza. In addition to these three, we have the fourth one, that is on-premise solution as a traditional method. Traditional method with respect to an example of preparing pizza is that you will be preparing the pizza at home. That is, for preparing the pizza, you need dining table, you need soda, you need gas or electric stove, you need fire, you need tomato sauce, pizza base, toppings, cheese, etc., etc. But starting from the soda, starting from the gas stove and starting from the fire, everything is available at home. Even pizza base is prepared at home. Tomato sauce is already available at home. So using that, if you prepare everything, that becomes the traditional method. That is on-premise solution. It is not a cloud service. It's not a cloud delivery model. The second one is infrastructure as a service. How this is different? Okay, you will use gas stove, you will use fire, you will use the pizza base, everything, whatever infrastructure is there, you will use. But that pizza base, tomato sauce, cheese, toppings, you get from outside. Okay, you get the pizza base and other toppings from outside, and you prepare the pizza. That means you are taking your home infrastructure for preparation of the pizza. So that's why I have put it as take and bake. Some parts you get from outside, but infrastructure will be of your own. Your own infrastructure is used for baking. Okay, so that becomes a simple real-time example for infrastructure as a service. So that is these pizza base or pizza duff, toppings, cheese, tomato sauce is managed by the vendor. Your gas, your micro oven, your stove, and you have some ingredients like soda, etc. at home. And finally, you will prepare the pizza and you will use your own dining table to have the pizza. So that is the example for infrastructure as a service. What is difference between infrastructure as a service and platform as a service? Take and bake is infrastructure as a service. Pizza delivered to home. That is, other than dining table, you are not using any part of the pizza. You are not using your oven, you are not using your gas stove, you are not using your fire. Everything is prepared at the pizza shop and pizza is delivered to you and you are having pizza at home. So that is platform as a service. Again, in this case, except dining table, everything is managed by the vendor. Only you are managing to have it on your dining table. And the last one is software as a service. That is, you will not prepare at home, you will not take and bake, you will not get the pizza delivered. You will go to the Pizza Hut, you will have the pizza there, that is, you dine out at the pizza shop itself. So in that case, you are not using your infrastructure, you are not using your platform, everything is outsourced. Okay, that is an example for the software as a service. And one more example I have put here. If you have leased car, you are using a leased car, you have taken a leased car for 1 month, 1 year, that is an example for infrastructure as a service. And you have your own car, that is on-premise solution. You have your own car, it is permanently with you, you will be using it. That is, leased car is an example of infrastructure. After certain lease, you are going to give back that car to the owner. you are using it as an infrastructure. Platform as a service, you are using taxi. Car is not in your hand. Whenever you want, you book the taxi, you use that platform to reach your destination. After that, the service agreement is over. Platform as a service is giving only the platform for usage. Once the required thing is done, you are not having any agreement with that particular thing, that is taxi. Then if you don't have leased car, you don't have your own car, and if you don't want to book the taxi, the other option is going for bus or public transportation. That is, you need not bother about maintenance of the car, you need not bother about booking the car. Directly you will be using the transport service, that is bus. So totally outsourced, that is software as a service. So I think these two examples will help you to understand the differences between the on-premise solutions and the infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. Okay. So just to make the concepts clear, I have given the real-time examples. Okay. So let us start with infrastructure as a service. So having understood the real-life examples, we'll try to correlate the concept with the first thing, that is infrastructure as a service. The user is able to deploy and run arbitrary software, which can include operating system and applications. The user does not manage or control the underlying cloud infrastructure. The user will not manage or control the cloud infrastructure, but has control over his own operating system, storage, deployed applications, etc. Okay. Host firewalls is the example for this infrastructure as a service. Services offered by the delivery model include server hosting, hosting the server, web servers, storage, computing hardware, operating systems, virtual instances, load balancing, internet access. Yeah, internet access is an example for infrastructure as a service, and bandwidth provisioning is also an example for the infrastructure as the service. So a very important thing is that user does not manage or control the underlying cloud infrastructure. So there is a best, again, if you try to correlate with the pizza preparation example, infrastructure as a service was taken as the take and bake. Okay, you has control over some things and don't have control over some things. Okay. Next is platform as a service. That is, allows the cloud user to deploy consumer created or acquired applications using programming languages and tools supported by the service provider. So it always allows the cloud users to use existing programming languages and tools, and hence the user has control over the deployed applications and possibly application hosting environment configurations. Of course, he has to have. Okay, and he doesn't manage or control the underlying cloud infrastructure. He is not bothered of what is the underlying cloud infrastructure, what is the underlying network, what is the underlying server, operating system, storage, etc. He need not worry about all that. So only thing, that example I had given, that you will get the pizza delivered to your home. You need not worry about whether the oven is there, whether tomato sauce is there, whether cheese is there. It is the responsibility, it is the duty of the vendor to arrange for all that and make sure that you will get the pizza delivered to home. So not particularly useful, this kind of platform as a service is not particularly useful when the application must be portable. Yeah. So because portability requires a lot of control and management over the underlying infrastructure, network servers, operating systems, etc. So hence it is not suitable. This kind of delivery model, platform as a service, is not suitable for the applications which are portable. Proprietary programming languages are used. If proprietary programming languages are used, this kind of delivery model is not particularly useful. And the hardware and software must be customized to improve the performance of the applications. Suppose if you want to customize the hardware as well as you want to customize the software as per your requirement, just to improve the performance of your application. In such cases, you don't have any access in this kind of delivery model, because you don't have to, you will just get the service. You don't have to worry about why the service is not good and what is causing bad service, what is affecting the quality of the service. You don't have the control over that. Maybe some programming language that is used, or some tool that is used for implementing that particular application is not suitable for that. But you have to just comment on whether it is good or bad, but you don't have any control over how to make use of this. How this, you can just comment like, yeah, this should have been done like that, like this. Okay, that's why I gave an example of pizza is delivered to your home. If it is good, it is your luck. If it is not tasting good, you don't have any control, and then you only thing you will comment on, this should have been less, that this should have been more to give the good taste. Okay, like that, platform as a service is not suitable for some particular cases. That is, if the application is portable, if the proprietary programming languages are used, and if you want to customize hardware and software requirements, this kind of delivery model is not suitable. Okay, so this is infrastructure as a service and platform as a service, and the next thing is software as a service. Okay, there, as I said, you will go to the Pizza Hut and you will have your pizza there. That is, applications are supplied by the service provider. Directly the applications are supplied by the service provider. There is no contribution of the customer in order to build the application. As far as developing the application is concerned, zero contribution from the customer side. The user does not manage or control the underlying cloud infrastructure or individual application capabilities. He is not having any control and he will not manage the cloud infrastructure or any capabilities. Okay, the services offered under this software as a service include enterprise services such as workflow management, groupware and collaborative, supply chain, communications, digital signature, customer relationship management, that is CRM, desktop software, financial management, geospatial and search, Web 2.0 applications such as metadata management, social networking or Facebook, Twitter, etc., blogs, Wikipedia services and portal services. So these are the different examples these are the different services that come under software as a service. So we'll be directly using those applications supplied by the service provider. So this software as service in real time is not suitable for real time applications, or for those where data is not allowed to be hosted externally. Yeah, where there is a condition that data is not hosted to be externally, is not allowed to be hosted externally. In such cases, the this type of delivery model, that is software as service, is not suitable. The examples, main examples of the software as a service we all are using in our day-to-day life, that is Google search engine, Gmail application. Here in Google we use Google Photos, we use Google Drives and mail like Gmail, etc. So they all become the software as a service. So only thing we become the end users of that software. So this is how the three important delivery models in cloud computing are being used, and they are giving the services to the customers. That is these three things, and we can put it technically infrastructure as a service, starting from presentation, APIs, applications, data, metadata, etc., integration and middleware, API, finally hardware and facilities. And in platform as service, we have only from integration and middleware to hardware and services. This is the entire infrastructure. Starting from data, metadata, applications, this becomes the infrastructure. But in case of software as service, even this integration and middleware is not there. Starting from API, and because everything is prepared by the vendor or the service provider only. So this is how we can put the cloud computing delivery models, and this has been taken from uh, Dan Manescu textbook. These three diagrams are very important from the exam point of view. Okay, so this is the next topic, that is what are the different activities that are performed on the cloud, and how these activities have to be analyzed and understood. The service management and provisioning, including virtualization, that is how the servers and the different resources are virtualized in the process. Service provisioning, how actually the service provision is done to the customer. Service provisioning with respect to software as service, platform as service, and infrastructure as service. So that's what I gave you an example of getting some data pack according to some tariff, according to some service level agreement, and there should not be any cheating regarding billing, keeping track of the data. What is promised has to be given, and even if the user has not used so much of data, then the vendor cannot say that you have used the data, something like that. Call center operations management, how the operations are managed, how the systems are managed, how quality of service parameters are managed, billing and accounting asset management. So there has to be transparency, there has to be fairness as far as billing and accounting and asset management is concerned. SLA management, service level agreements. So before the user uh, get the service, because a user pays and gets the service, there has to be some kind of commitment from the service provider side, and there has to be some commitment from the user side also. So whatever he has paid, only for what he has paid he should be eligible to get the service. A user cannot claim that I should get something more as far as the SLA. So SLA management has got some agreement bylaws, and as per that the operations or the transactions will be taking place between the service provider and the user. Technical support and backups. And as far as security management is concerned, as I said, security is the major concern in cloud computing, because user has exposed all his data, all his credentials to the application he is using, and he is doing some sensitive operations wherein money is involved, wherein some sensitive information is involved. Okay, so in such cases, ID and authentication has to be properly checked by the service providers. So most of the time we find this authentication by OTP or by some fingerprint or something like that. So ID and authentication has to be done. Suppose the particular Gmail account is linked with the devices the user is using, maybe laptop, mobile phone, desktop, etc. And it is synced to all the devices, or his account is synced to all the devices. In such cases, how this ID and authentication has to be ensured before giving access to that particular service to the user. So sometimes when we log into our Gmail account from our mobile phone, usually we log in from desktop, and but at some point of time in urgency, you have logged into Gmail by mobile phone or laptop. In that case, Gmail will ask you, are you the same person? For that, it will it will ask for your mobile phone number, or it will ask for some OTP to be entered, just for authentication purpose. So in such cases, uh, certification and accreditation, intrusion prevention, then as far as possible, the intruders have to be detected and prevented, and virus protection, cryptography. There has to be some security measures as far as the service is concerned. Physical security, incident response, access control, audit and trails, firewalls are the next activities that are performed as far as the security. So as far as the customer services are concerned, there are some cloud activities. These are going to be mainly dealing with customer services, such as customer assistance and online help. Suppose the customer is struck with some application, not understanding really how to use the service. In that case, customer assistance is very much essential, and some online help has to be provided to the customers. And subscriptions. Subscription is also one of the activity made by the customer. Business intelligence, understanding the business intelligence, reporting maybe positive, negative things, customer preferences, personalization. So it should be always, the service has to be personalized to each and every customer. So the customer is able to understand and customize the service to his needs. So personalization is important. So as far as integration service, including data management and development is concerned, there will be a lot of cloud activities. So this is as per the NIST, the cloud reference model. So at the top you find the carrier, then you say there you see the service consumer, and this part is the service provider, this part is the broker, and this part is the auditor. The responsibility of the auditor is to audit for the services and give security of the service to the customers, not uh, leak any credentials of the customer to the other person, avoid the intrusion, detect the intruders, and using some two-level authentication, etc. Privacy, impact audit, performance audit is the responsibility of the auditor, and this service provider is concerned with service layer, wherein it includes three delivery models, that is software as service, platform as service, infrastructure as service. And the service provider is responsible for resource abstraction and controlling, and is also responsible for the managing underlying hardware and facility. And service management unit under the service provider is responsible for business support, provisioning of the services according to some rules and regulations, proper portability and interoperability of the services, and at the same time it will ensure security and privacy of the customer. And the broker is responsible for intermediation, aggregation, and arbitrage of the services. And this NIST reference model deals with all the things we are concerned with. And very important aspect of the cloud computing is the ethical issue, that is paradigm shift with implications on cloud computing ethics. The control is relinquished to third party services. The data is stored on multiple sites administered by several organizations. Multiple services interoperate across the network. So it is ethically not correct to steal some data from the other users and steal some services without proper payment to that particular thing. So there may be some implications that leads to the ethical issues. These implications are unauthorized access. So then you are not paid to the service you are accessing, or it is not your login you are accessing. Data corruption, infrastructure failure, and service unavailability are the different uh, ethical issues. So deperimeterization is another issue, that is systems can span the boundaries of multiple organizations and cross the security borders. So always security borders should not be crossed. The complex structure of the cloud services can make it difficult to determine who is responsible in case something undesirable happens. So this is to be taken as a serious problem. Something undesirable happens, in that case, who is responsible for that? Identify the fraud and theft are made possible by the unauthorized access to personal data in circulation and by new forms of dissemination through social networks, and they could also pose a danger to cloud computing. Maybe cyber security, cyber laws are dealing with deperimeterization. So the fiber, there are some privacy issues, of course. Cloud service providers have already collected petabytes of sensitive personal information stored in data centers around the world. The acceptance of cloud computing, therefore, will be determined by privacy issues addressed by these companies and the countries where the data centers are located. So data centers have to be located in such places where there is lot of security to the data centers, because the data centers carry lot of personal information of the lot of people that are using the cloud services. Privacy is affected by cultural differences. Some cultures favor privacy, others emphasize community. This leads to an ambivalent attitude towards privacy in the internet, which is global system. Though there should not be any culture favor as far as privacy. There should not be any community favor as far as the privacy is concerned. So privacy issues have to treat all the communities, all the cultures uniformly. Then cloud vulnerabilities, that is, what are the different things which are going to act as vulnerable to the cloud? That is, clouds are affected by some malicious attacks and failures of the infrastructure. Say, for example, power failure is that becomes one of the cloud vulnerability. Such events can affect the internet domain, some servers, and prevent access to cloud, or can directly affect the clouds. So there are a lot of examples witnessed. That is, in 2004, an attack at Akamai caused a domain name outage and a major blackout that affected the major search engines like Google, Yahoo, and other sites. And in 2009, there was one more. Google was target of denial of service attack, that is DOS attack, which took down Google News and Gmail for several days. It took a lot of time to recover from this 2009 denial of service attack for the Google to come out. So in 2012, because of the lightning, there was a downtime at Amazon. That was in fact prolonged downtime at Amazon, which took a lot of effort from the concerned people to come out of that particular problem. So there are certain cloud vulnerabilities as far as the cloud are concerned. So this is how the discussion ends here with respect to the cloud. I just give the summary. We discussed initially challenges for cloud computing, and then we discussed in brief deployment models and delivery models. In detail, we discussed the cloud delivery models with some standard examples, and then we discussed the cloud activities as far as service management is concerned, security management is concerned, customer services and integration services are concerned. And then we discussed, uh, having put together all the components, broker, auditor, service provider, etc. We had a look about the NIST cloud reference model, and we studied the ethics of using cloud, that is what is ethically right and wrong, ethical issues, deperimeterization, privacy issues, cloud vulnerabilities. Okay, so this completes the discussion on the second part of this unit, that is challenges and other things of the cloud computing. So this completes the fifth unit of the subject distributed computing. Uh, Actually, we had completed in physical classroom 3 units, and then in fourth unit and fifth unit have been completely covered in this Impartus. And I request all the students to log into your Impartus login and then watch the videos, raise the questions, queries, and I am there to help you all the time. So no hesitation to ask for the questions, okay, and comment. Okay, any doubts are there, please ask the doubts through Impartus login. Okay, thank you. Have a nice day.
Good afternoon, students. Today we'll be starting with the third unit, network attached storage. So in the previous class we have seen discussed about storage area network. Now with storage area network, even though we could access the data from any server, from any host, the problem was that we had to replace the existing LAN and WAN networks. So replacing the existing LAN and WAN network was really not cost effective. So therefore, in order to make this cost effective, they found out one more storage solution called as the network attached storage. In this network attached storage, the existing LAN and WAN is not made obsolete, whereas the existing LAN and WAN network itself is used for connecting the devices and accessing the files from these servers. So let us